My name is Carina Gardner, and I'm what you would call a practical designer. If you're ready to create a life that you love, become an incredible force for good, and generate income while pursuing your dreams, this is the podcast for you. Welcome to Make and Design. Let's talk today about some of the basics, getting back to the business of designing, really like creativity, how we can turn that into a profit, and maybe some hard truths that maybe you need to hear. And maybe you don't need to hear, maybe you're doing it already. But I think that my goal with this episode is to make you realize kind of some of the things that are involved so that you are doing the right activities in your business so that you can actually turn a profit. Now, the first thing is, of course, we have to have a foundation in great design work. So I would say graphic design in general. I do love surface pattern design. I love 3D design. But when we have a good baseline or foundation in graphic design, we're able to really spend time looking at the marketplaces. And as we know, the marketplaces are changing. They're changing often. And so we have to be paying attention to them and knowing what's happening in them so that we can turn a profit. Very often I see designers are getting started and then they don't see a profit being turned very quickly. That's because you haven't done enough work, right? Like there's still a lot that has to be done there. So while a good baseline in graphic design is important, okay, and that's where we start, that creativity piece is a great foundational piece, but it's also not the only thing you have to know how to do. It's definitely the funnest part. It is for me anyway. I love designing. I love spending time creating new things, whether it's 3D or it's in Surface or, it's anything, even a logo, I think is really fun. I think that creativity piece is what fuels us and why we all love designing so much. But it's just not enough. And if you've taken a class and all you've done is learn how to design and maybe learned a couple little business ideas or marketing ideas to get you going, then it's just not enough. And I think when you know it's not enough, then you can also feel satisfied in knowing like, okay, I've been trying to do this and it hasn't been working and I'm really frustrated. Well, you have every right to feel frustrated because it's not working for a reason. And the reason it's not working is because there are other things you have to be doing in order to make it go. Now, many of you know that I believe that designers are designers and influencers are influencers. And there is a little bit of crossover, but definitely not at the beginning. Most of the time at the beginning, people don't have a good enough foundation in their graphic design work in order to be really, really great at, starting the influencer space. But I will tell you that eventually along the way, you are going to want to have some social media and maybe do things like YouTube. Why? Not for the reasons you think. Now, most people will tell you, go do marketing. And so then they go on social media and they post their stuff and then they hope people will come and buy. Usually what happens is people come on and maybe they'll see your stuff. And the whole goal in that is to create trust. But there's an even bigger goal if you're using channels to educate instead of market. And that is to create customer service that works for you. Now, I did this earlier on in my design career, and I really think it helped me in a lot of ways that I didn't even realize it was helping me. So one of the things as a designer you really want to do is open up more space for designing. So what cuts into it? Well, uploading, sales, production, and customer service. And when I say customer service, I mean you have a product up and someone emails you and says, how do you make this? Why can't I figure out how to do this? I don't understand the cut line here. And pretty early on, we still have some products that don't have instructions with them. But early on, I kind of figured out video was much easier than writing blog posts on how to put things together. And it was easier for people to see how to put things together. So on my YouTube channel, we used it specifically to just educate people. And now we don't do that as much now, but especially when all I did was run my design business, you would go and you would just see how I made everything. And I wasn't trying to get lots of views. I was literally just trying to educate people so that it made it easier for my customer service. Even products that are quite big, I show you how to make all the pieces of them. I'm thinking in particular for my ultimate projects. And so I think it's a really powerful thing to use social media to deal with your customer service part. Now, once again, this is kind of like that weird little overlap of influencer space, but it's not really the same thing. I think you have to really think of it and go into it as education rather than influencer, where it's like more about entertainment and sponsorships and getting people engaged in that way. So I would love for you to think of it in that way. Okay, let's also talk about creativity into profit in terms of distribution channels. So even though I preach about it all the time, it seems like I can't get this through to most designers. And that is that we live in a world where your website is going to be very difficult to sell on. Even though you have stuff on your website and it's the most beautiful website in the world, you have to be bringing traffic to it in order to make money. And that is just a baseline. And so if you have to bring traffic to it, that means you have to be running ads, you have to be doing social media, you have to be doing all kinds of things to bring people to it. And I just think this is a really inefficient method for designers when there are so many platforms out there that will do a lot of this work for you. And so if you are really, really like 100% like, I just want to have my own website, I want to have my own thing, that has more to do with the ego involved than it does about really trying to sell, because it's not a place that's profitable. You'll see that over the last several years, people are not going and just reading blogs, like following one person and following their blog. It's more likely they're just following them on Instagram. And it's an easier place to get data or information or get updated. Now, that doesn't mean that blogs are irrelevant. They still are relevant. In fact, we have spent some time, if you want to go check out our blog, we have been spending a lot of time actually revitalizing my blog. And it's because we've kind of changed our thought process on how we use it. We've been really thinking about how we use it for SEO, knowing that people might not come on and just read the feed, but instead that we're really kind of pushing for ideas and things that will help people understand what's going on in the current design world. And we're writing those up on the blog. So it's a place where we're kind of more dealing with SEO and, you know, having people get educated. Once again, that education piece is so huge. So this is all about, you get that baseline of creativity, but then the second piece of that is distribution. So like figuring out where you can sell your design so that you can make the most money. And some places are better than others, right? Commission work is of course always better, but it's hard to get. There are certain online platforms that sell better than others. We have to make sure and keep up with that, right? And then the next component is education. The more education we give about our products, it does twofold for us. It shows people that we know what we're doing and that we have a viable product that they can also make. Second of all, it gives them some trust that we're making our products, that we're checking them to see if they work and that they look good, right? So there's a couple of things. And then the last thing is it actually gives us wider reach, right? Because if they're seeing videos of us or photos of us, then that's going to help them have more trust in us. And it kind of does what the influencer space currently does. But I think if you think about it more like education, then you're going to be able to produce quite a bit. The very last piece that I'm going to talk about a little bit is brand. Now, brand doesn't happen at the beginning. It kind of happens towards the middle, and it definitely happens for the rest of your life as you're building your products and your business. And brand is really difficult because it's hard to create a brand in a day. So if you think you're going to make something right now, you're like, this is it, this is my brand. It's going to take you several years to show that brand. It's going to take several years for you to show it through your videos, show it through your product lineup, show it through, all the things you're doing. Those things take a long time, and people don't realize that, and they don't put the effort necessary into looking at that long-term future. If you're just thinking about the profits you need to make tomorrow, that's very, very difficult, especially when it comes to brand. It takes a long time to build a brand. I know I've been doing this for over 16 years. And even then, like, my brand has changed. The way I've done business has changed. And it's just been a really interesting thing as I've had to create and reinvent my own personal brand. You're going to be in the same boat, right? You're going to be doing the exact same thing. But the more you can put out there, the more that you are producing versus consuming, the better it's going to be for you. All right. So I think we've talked about a few different things today. Here's the thing. The bottom line is that you guys are creatives. You can create all of this amazing work. And if you can turn a profit from it, then you're really doing something interesting. And I was talking, I think it was to my husband. We were at our lake house talking a little bit about having purpose. And, I used to always think like the goal was retirement, like just to like get enough money, then retire and be good. And as I have been going through like kind of my daily activities, what I've been working on, I found a ton of purpose in what I'm doing. I already know what I'm going to do in my retirement, all the things that I really want to do and create for myself. And all of it always ends up driving back to impact and purpose. And so I think that creativity is a really important piece because a lot of times you guys are driven by that creativity and by that purpose in that creativity. But I think if you can also think a little bit bigger than that and show yourself what is possible, then I think that there's even more purpose waiting for you. You just haven't realized it yet. And that can drive some of that profit as well. Because if you realize, hey, if I'm doing this thing and I can be profitable doing this, it will affect this person or this thing in my life or my spouse or, whatever it is that you think is going to take you to the next level. So I think it's important for creatives to be profitable. I think that the examples I use in my Make Art That Sells book, which by the way, you can get on Amazon, if you look at those examples, the reason that those are artists like Norman Rockwell or Pablo Picasso were able to do and create so much artwork is because they were turning a profit, because they were doing the thing that they loved and making money off of that. And that's how most designers that are making money are able to live off of what they're doing, because they're making money off of what they really love doing and creating something bigger with it. And you can do that. You can absolutely do that. So keep up the amazing work. I hope that you are thinking about how you can profit off of your creativity, and I'll see you soon. Did you know you have access to more free design content, die cut files, and sewing patterns? Join our exclusive VIP group for free by going to designsuitecourses.com/free.